Let's talk about Wing Chun's kicking. A lot of people are under the impression that Wing Chun doesn't have any kicks, or that just Wing Chun's not very good at kicking, or Wing Chun people aren't very good at kicking. But they fail to realize that there is a context for which we actually throw kicks in. We have kicks in the forms, particularly in Chum Kiu and the dummy. And while we don't display the same variety of kicks that others do, we actually have a pretty good reason for the limitation on the kicks that we throw. So one, if we go back to some of the old poetic sayings, and I don't have the Chinese worked out right now, so we're just going to go with the basic English translation. A couple that get thrown around are that kicks lose 9 out of 10 times and the kick does not miss. Well, those seem contradictory. Basically what we're saying is with the kicks lose 9 out of 10 times, and I don't know how possibly direct that can be. 9 out of 10 seems to be a very English translation, so I'm not sure what the Chinese would be there. But if the concept of kicks predominantly losing is a major factor, then what are we really saying? Well, it's the same thing that everybody who comes out against kicks says. Kicks are risky. They follow a much longer line. You have less balance when you're standing on one leg than on two, all of those same reasons. But then we have the kick does not miss. Well, the idea is if you're going to throw a kick, you only throw a kick when it is a sure thing. Now, that right there kind of sets the stage for us. Now, another thing that I learned when I was coming up in Wing Chun is the concept of every step is a kick, every kick is a step. This goes right along with the idea of your kicking not missing. The idea is that you want your kicking to be interchangeable with your stepping. And if you can make it so that your opponent can't tell whether you're taking a step or throwing a kick, well, you're doing something right, because masking your techniques and masking your intent from your opponent's ability to read you is a pretty powerful tool. And on top of that, the idea is that every time we step, we want to step where we're in good structure and we're not teetering all over the place. Well, the same thing with kicking. We want to make sure that we're always in good structure and whatnot. It's another one of the phrases that gets thrown around, invisible structure, invisible kick. Really, that's just saying, mask your movements, hide your intent, make sure that your structure is, or not even your structure, make sure that your weight shifting is fairly invisible so that as you move, your opponent doesn't really see what's coming. And that goes right along with the every step is a kick, every kick is a step. So right there, what are we looking at, right? We're looking at, if you're going to kick, don't take big risks, do things that are sure bets. Well, nothing's 100%, but, taking the line of low kicks, which predominantly is what we use in Wing Chun, low kicks, taking the line of low kicks, it's easier to hit a leg than it is to hit a body. It's a shorter line. You can also hit low from closer range, and everybody knows we're a close range style. It is much, much harder to pull off head kicks at very close range. So that being the case, we're already set up for the idea of close range, only hit when it's a sure thing, mask your intent, mask your structure, your weight shifting, all of that kind of stuff. And that keeps you pretty limited. And you say, well, why don't you just throw knees? You guys throw elbows all the time. Nobody says you can't. Sigung Kwok stopped in the middle of a seminar one time when he was demoing. This time it wasn't on me, but somebody else. He just stopped and he's like, who said there's no knees in Wing Chun? And then kneed the guy. So I'm totally okay with you throwing knees from a Wing Chun perspective. Now, let's bring up one more piece. This is the big gray zone. I shouldn't say this is one of the big gray zones in Wing Chun that gives us a lot of license to go beyond the explicit curriculum. That is the practice of Qiguk. So, by the way, it's Gurk, not Gurk. There's no R in there. If you take the word Gurk and say it like you're from Boston and don't pronounce the R, that's what that is. You British people and Australian people have got to stop translating Chinese because you already don't pronounce your R's and you're sliding R's into the translation that don't belong there. Bad. Shame on you. So the concept of Qiguk, which is in fact a classical piece of Wing Chun, is the idea of doing sticky legs. In fact, guk means lower leg and foot. Our word for kick is tek. It's the Cantonese word for kicking. Guk is just the structure of the lower leg and the foot, similar to how we use sao, which does specifically mean hand, for everything that happens below the elbow. So when we look at this immediately, right, if chi sao is playing in here, bridging the hands, then chi guk is the idea of bridging the legs. Now, immediately what you're going to be looking at is that's going to be bridging, sticking, hooking, plenty of leg checking, not necessarily outright kicking. However, one of the mandates of chi guk, and this is very, very powerful, is you're not creating new techniques. You don't have a whole new syllabus of techniques for your legs. You are approximating your hand techniques with your legs. So any hand technique that is a full extension whipping technique can become a full extension whipping type kick. Anything that is hitting with different parts of the hand can be hitting with different parts of the foot or shin versus forearm, right? Gansao hitting with the forearm, all of a sudden we have a justification for shin kicks, gangtek. Foxao, the whipping hand, faktek, whipping kick, fuete and sabat, right? You have these at your disposal to use, but just like the practice of chi guk, what do? We save that for the more advanced guys. These are riskier maneuvers. These are things that have more complexity and more fine moving parts, and they need a more refined motor pattern set. These are things that we don't teach to beginners. These are things that we save for the guys that have been around for a while and already have a good baseline with good structure on 2 feet. And that's really all that is. So while Wing Chun may not explicitly have all the kicks that we do have are setting a good baseline for the range that we're in and the targets that we're after, the hips and legs, and for trying to keep them a sure thing while trying to keep weapons on the target, not being overly turned, things like that. I think that we actually do a pretty good job with the simple nailing kick and the couple of variations thereof that we do. I don't really believe in the lifting kick, but the lifting kick, it's just a stop kick. I don't think you need a new name for it. It's just a different energy on the same front kick. The side kick's not a true side kick. It's really just a nailing kick with your toes turned the other direction. So if one's at 11 o'clock, the other one's at 1 o'clock. It's the same kick. Your foot's just turned different. You're still trying to keep your center on the line mostly. The realigning kick or turning kick at the end of Chum Kyu, it's the same kick. You're just moving, you're pivoting while throwing the kick. So it's really just the one kick. Now, we throw a more true downward side kick in the dummy form. But the fact is that we're not really spending a ton of time on a huge variety of kicks. We're sticking with pretty much the most simple idea, which is the stomp kick. You are kicking down a door. It's like the most basic kick that people throw, untrained. If you're going to kick down a door or stomp on somebody, it's that and a soccer kick, and we don't throw the soccer kick. So that's what we've got. We've got a stomp kick as our baseline, and then we can progress from there. We have all those extra options afterwards, later on. So don't think for a second that because you're a Wing Chun guy that you don't get to kick. Think that as a Wing Chun guy, you're going to spend your time building up your hands and your structure and using a very, very simple practical kick for very close range. And then you can expand out from there once you've been around for a while. And that's really all we're looking at. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Good journey. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, give the dog a bone. You can follow us on our other social media accounts, and if you really like us, you can head over to Amazon and buy a shirt. You can also go over to Gumroad and purchase some of our instructional courses. All of the links will be provided and also on our website. If you happen to be in the Phoenix area, we would love to meet you. Come drop in for a class, even just to chat. And if you're looking for a new home, we would be happy to have you. So until next time, good journey.